This is Between Hook Sets. I'm Jason Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Kurt Underhill from the fishing crew.
Man, you almost got the Pike Master hook set in.
Yeah, I was putting a little weight behind that one. Just about fell off the chair.
Yeah, not quite the true Pike Master hook set, but it was close.
Well, it's been a long time since I've done the pike thing on Lake Oahe, and I was a little bit jealous of you guys. It looked like it was a ton of fun. You had decent weather. Pressure was okay.
Yeah, fishing for me and most teams was tough. It really, we were worried with the early off ice and really no runoff to speak of, and the amount of gizzard shad in the system. Because if you don't know, those gizzard shad don't winter well. So they die off, and we were really interested. We didn't see a bunch. I don't know if anybody's seen a lot of dead gizzard shad, but the gizzard shad, fairly, we were wondering if they would survive the winter because of the lack of winter, I guess, to say that there wasn't a lot of winter. So, but all in all, I think we had 48 teams, 24 pike were caught. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of fun and an incredible story tonight. The winners of the Pike Masters came from North Pole, Alaska.
I couldn't believe it when you told me.
And kicked our butts. And
unbelievable.
Yeah, what an incredible story they get to tell tonight. And, Dan and I'm going to mess it up. Tawnielle sent me some videos, sent me some pictures earlier this week, and it's going to be great. Let's bring them on, let them tell their story. How you guys doing tonight?
Hey,
good. How you doing? Hello. So do we say hello in Alaska different than we do down here in the lower 48?
There's normally a shake involved because it's cold.
But we're not rubbing noses or anything like that. Okay. I feel out of place because my hat's not. I tried that. I tried to get my hat to squeeze in, but I can't. Yeah, you're certainly keeping the sun out there.
Right. Now, helps keep some of the heat in too. That's why I do.
They look like farmers from Minnesota. Their hats are bent so tight so they can get their head in the mailbox so they don't miss a check.
Oh my word.
So I should keep this to myself, but I can't do it because I was trying to find out who won the Pike Master tournament over the weekend. And I was looking through a few things. They didn't have stuff ready until I believe the next morning. And I'm like, I would just like to know who the frick won the tournament. And then I find out that you guys won the tournament. And I felt like I was a little clairvoyant at that point. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I get a hold of John Hoyer, and Hoyer says, yep, nope, can't do it Wednesday night, but maybe another night. Never heard back from him. Of course, he won the National Walleye Tour on Lake Erie. And then the number 2 guy, Hunter Nitty, The Secret Life of Hunter Nitty. I had to do that. He never got back to me. And so neither did Jeff Kellum from the Masters Walleye Circuit and the National Walleye Tour. So I'm feeling a little down because we can't find anybody, or I couldn't find anybody for the show. You guys happened to reach out to Kurt, and Kurt called me with this awesome story about our conversation tonight. So the good Lord made this one work out because this is a great story. North Pole, Alaska. You're in South Dakota on vacation, doing whatever you're doing, and you decide to join a Pike Master fishing tournament, and you win on public waters. Let's start right there. How did you get to South Dakota, and how did you win the thing?
So, I mean, a quick synopsis of the whole deal was my father is fighting stage 4 terminal cancer, and was given less than a year with chemo. And so this was a trip that we kind of put together to encourage him and give him a drive, something to look forward to. And at first he was kind of like, yeah, we'll see if I'm around. And the closer we got, the healthier it seemed he got, and the happier he started really looking forward to it. And so we reserved the cabins over in Spring Creek, and my family came out from Michigan and joined us, my brothers and my sister and her family. And we took up almost all the cabins they have over there. There's a big family, but we ended up on the 8th, we went and got bait, took them into town, kind of looked around, and started fishing. And right away, and typically, I've been coming out to Pier to Oahe since 2006. And every year's a little bit different. And so you kind of quickly try to learn, what the pike want, and then pursue them that way. And this year was,
I've never learned that.
by far my worst year coming out. Yeah, the first week was literally, it was the absolute worst. We didn't catch any pike. And then that Friday, Thursday, I sat there and my sister was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm okay." But I just a blank stare and just burning up brain cells and trying to figure out where the pike were at. And so then my thought, Friday morning, I woke up and the cove by the cabins was completely froze over, and it was like a light bulb went off. I said, "This water's cold. This water's really cold." And so I literally, I was like, "We got to find a big body of water, get right up against the main lake, and fish from there." And so that's what we did. And the first spot that came to mind, I'd fished it in years past, but caught a few there, but the flats. And so we went out there and right away got one, and then got another one. And last week leading up to the tournament, we got 4 pike over 40 inches, and she got her personal best 43.5. And so then I was like, well, that tournament's coming up this weekend. And my literally the first thought was, we got to get out of bed early and get over there before those guys from the tournament show up. And because I fished over there when the tournament was going on, and get out there before everybody's released. And you could literally hear it when everybody left the outpost, revving engines, horns honking, and everybody just gunning it. And the one year I was telling you about it, I was back there behind the drag strip, and you guys opened up the gates, and it, like, about 5 minutes later, this panel van comes screaming down over the hill, and you could just hear everything rattling around inside of it. They got all the way down there, and a guy bailed out, ran out, and he saw us fish, and he yelled back to his buddy, "Somebody's already here!" And they ended up fishing. But we had anticipated getting out there early, and then I kind of sat down and asked her about it, and she's like, "Well, what time is it?" And she was worried about missing out.
Taken away from my fishing time. I was like, I gotta get the bite. You guys are gonna take away the evening bite from me. I was like, I didn't want to miss out on my time fishing.
So
that's awesome.
I finally convinced her. I said, let's do it. And then we built the team and got on there. And I watched your last podcast, and you had mentioned, the team from Alaska signing up and wanting to call and see what we, what we were thinking. So we did. We finally signed up, and I'll be honest, we both have talked about it. We're extremely grateful that we did, and the experience was it was phenomenal and memorable for us. And we can't thank all of you and what you've put together there, and the group of people that you've surrounded yourselves with. It was humbling to walk through there, and everybody is on the same page. There's not guys that are envious or jealous or like, who the heck are these nonners and coming in here. And we
I'm sure hearing from Alaska, they were like, who are these yahoos coming?
Well, honestly, when your entry came into my email, I'm like, North Pole, do they know what they're signing up for? Is this a mistake? Like, I almost called you and was like, it's like a pike tournament on Lake Oahe. Like, what you're signing up for, right? Because it was shell shock to me when I saw North Pole Alaska come in on my phone, and I'm like, Okay.
But
Truly
yeah,
meant to be, though. I mean, story of a lifetime. Truly meant to be.
It is, and you know, I mean, we literally, I mean, the way it came together, and when we left Fairbanks, our flight itinerary, everything got changed up. We lost our bags, and I wasn't
almost
quite.
lost all of our fishing poles.
I can get clothes and stuff, but the suitcase that was filled with lures and, you know, all our everything, and so she was up until almost midnight trying to figure out where our bags were, and we had flown into Sioux Falls, and they ended up flying our bags into Rapid City, and my cousin picked them up in Rapid and brought them out to us in Pierre.
You're kidding.
It was a long 48 hours of my life.
It was, yeah.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
But before we went, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
So before we were stationed up in Alaska, when we were still stationed at Ellsworth in Rapid, but coming to Pierre for Pike was our annual tradition. Like, we were here every year for 5 years when we first met, every year Pike. So when it was our first vacation coming back to South Dakota, we knew we wanted to come back pike fishing. I love it. I missed it. It's one of my favorite fish to go for, and we knew it was the trip that we wanted to make. So it just all worked out.
Yeah.
Well,
that is fantastic.
And that was what I was like thinking, like, you know, you guys, you know, you're originally from South Dakota.
Yes.
Dan, you're from Michigan originally, and you guys, you know, meet up at Ellsworth. You know, Dan, you said you were medically retired. Tawny, you're still in the Air Force, and you guys meet up and then just kind of have this tradition of coming here. And I'm like, so when I saw your entry, I'm like, are they bringing salmon gear and fly rods? Like, not knowing you're from
you went to Walmart
originally, not knowing your Air Force people. Like, I'm like, what are these guys like? What are they going to do? And then, you know, I didn't get much time to talk to you Friday night. And then you guys go out and you literally kick us South Dakota boys' butts. You kicked the two pike master, Greg and Willie's butt, which I'm really happy about. Like, I'm a terrible fisherman. That's why I run tournaments and I do a podcast, because I'm good at talking about it, but I can't put them in the bank or in the boat. Like, I'm terrible at it. And I'm okay with it. Like, I've come to terms with that. I'm a bad fisherman. So, you know, like if you can't play, you coach, right? Like, so, but yeah, so like you guys, I was like, and then you guys come down and, you know, I had no idea you practiced the week before, caught that many until we talked just yesterday, Dan. You were telling me, you know, you sent me that little synopsis of your 40, and I ran into Russ Hansen somewhere, and he's like, yeah, I got one of their pike up here. And I'm like, huh? Like, who are these people? They're bringing pike to the taxidermists when nobody else is catching pike. Like, before the tournament, I heard of 3 pike caught all year, and then you guys are taking them to the taxidermist and kick our butts. So,
no, and when we started out, we had fished up past Pike Haven and all the way down to the dam, and I mean, it was dead. It was a dead sea, and you know, and then when we finally found them on the flats, I told Tawny, I said, we've got a really good chance at this tournament. And she kind of looked at me like, I'm still missing out on my evening bite.
I just want to fish. I'm on vacation. I just want to fish.
I'll make it up to you, you know, but, you know, and so then, I mean, we all know how it all played out, but you know, so doing that homework in a sense, and figuring out where they were at, and I can't explain it. I don't know. I honestly, I'm still baffled. I'm still burning up brain cells trying to figure that one out. But they were right there in Peoria Flats, and it wasn't, you know, a half mile. You know, it was just that small area, and but they were feeding and they were active right there, and we can, you know, consistently caught pike right there. So we knew we had to be like the first one out the gate, you know, and so that was part of it, like timing it from the cabin and slow rolling, so we didn't get booted to the back. But we ended up in 9th, leaving, you know, heading out, and there was 2 vehicles that turned right out of the drag strip, and so I'm literally glued on those two vehicles watching them, and then we pull out, and both of those guys turned their blinker on at Spring Creek, and they went in there, and I called Tawny. She was in the truck with her dad, and I called her. I said, we got our spot. And
did any vehicles pull down on you? Like when you got there and you pulled up, did other anglers pull up and be like, oh,
that was what's funny is nobody did. Nobody bothered. Nobody came out there. I mean,
there was one boat that came through, but then they went all the way to the other side of the river. So, there was nobody that came down all day.
So was it one of those days where everything just seemed to go right?
I will say her
For
dad,
me, it did.
when we pulled into the drag strip, parked, we got out, we're chit-chatting, and her dad, Tim Hollander, pulled up his odometer. Was, he drives a Chevy, an Avalanche, and I mean, GM. You got to go through, all the error messages, and in my truck. So you can tell.
He was pushing to try and get all the error codes to go away. Well, anyway, the odometer came up. My dad's a big Tony Stewart fan. And the odometer said 14, 14, 14. So he was just on clout, and he was like, it's going to be a good day. So that was his little lucky charm right there.
Nate was out checking people. He said he came down, checked you guys. He talked to me afterwards. He's like, man, they were such nice people, so fun, and down there talking, taking pictures, videoing. And I got a video of you or one of somebody on your team that went out in the water. And my boat, the best water temp I found was 45 degrees. And Nate's like, the dude stripped down to his underwear and went in the water because he tangled the line.
That was Kurt Kowalski, and I'm saying his last name so everybody knows that he now talks with a little bit of a squeaky voice, but
we'll show us a picture. Is this him right there?
No,
or is that you?
Our son and I.
Okay. Oh, you got the glasses on. Okay, so let me run through these. I want to make sure that you guys really had some serious family fun there.
Yeah.
So tell us about this picture.
That is, we didn't have a measuring tape, so we were using to measure fish when we were out there. So when I got my big one, because we made a bet years ago when we were out shed hunting. We were like, all right, whoever finds the first elk shed has to pay for the other's fish mount. Well, it was a 5-year-long bet, and he had to own up to it that day.
And so this is your PB then. This is your personal best.
Toddler to measure our fish that week.
I love it.
That one was
absolutely love that. I've got one more. I wish I had the video, but the video was a little long and I couldn't get it to download. But we got some great pictures there. That is amazing. It just looks like it was just a ton of family fun.
Oh, it was. We were on cloud 9. Our son was on cloud 9. We had a great week.
If anybody's down there in the Peoria Flats and finds like a toy car or a dinosaur,
they're all over. He was very interested. If they find a whole bunch of toys out there, it's from our son.
Yeah, just about every day that we went down, he was bury something, and we'd go to look for it and couldn't find it. So there's some toys down there if you're bored and fishing. So
I'll have to bring my metal detector next time.
Yeah.
So tell us about your service a little bit. We'd really like to know. I think I'd like to know a little bit about that. If you can share that. If it's top secret, I get it. But
so you want to start with yours?
Sure, I can start. I active duty Air Force for 14 years. Civil engineering, structures troop, carpenter by trade, and so we did carpentry, masonry, sheet metal fab, welding, locksmith, kind of a little bit of everything. Glorified janitor is what I always titled it at. But deployed 8 times, Iraq, and Kuwait, Qatar. Went to Palau and off the east coast of the Philippines, and absolutely love Palau. The fishing there is way better than Oahe. I'm just going to put it that way.
Really? So what kind of fish?
Pardon?
What kind of fish?
Wahoo, rainbow runners, yellowfin, kind of a little bit of everything. It is just a gem within itself. And the people down there, we had apprentices under us, and they definitely, I was tasked with teaching them my technical trade, and then they can go out to, they get a certificate when they completed the course. And it's kind of like having a college degree down there. It helps them with jobs and moving forward in life. And so as I was down there, I tell people often, I feel like I learned more from them than I was actually teaching them. And just because of the lifestyle and the culture and in the middle of the night chasing coconut crabs and we did a little bit of everything. I shot a monkey while I was down there.
Don't forget the monkey.
Really?
The one island, Peleliu Island, the Germans in the early 1900s introduced monkeys on the island. And when I was there in 2014, the monkeys had kind of taken over this island, breaking into houses and getting into stuff. And so they put a $7 bounty on the monkey's head. And so I never anticipated shooting a monkey, but you know what? Yeah,
it seems
went
interesting.
to Wake Island, and just it was unique. I got, and I look back, and obviously, I mean, there's things we look back we would change, and there's definitely things I would change, but I wouldn't change it because it, long story short, made me who I am, and ultimately led me to Tawny, and so I'm grateful, and part of life in general, we go through hardships, and it has a way of, if you allow it, yes, you grow through. And my biggest hardship was losing a friend of mine to suicide, and my supervisor, and I heard him do it, and I went upstairs and I found him. But a year and a half later, I almost did the same thing and was in such a dark place, but I got help. And that's what I try to encourage people, is to not give up, but to get help. And never imagined I'd have what I have or be where I'm at now. But, I've got a son and a wife and way more than I ever imagined. And then Pike Master Championship here. So it just, it goes to show that, it changes you, and those hardships change us if we allow them to, and don't give up, but you grow from it. And I do believe, God has something special in store for all of us. And sometimes we have to go through those hardships to be able to receive the blessings that he has in store for us.
Those setbacks are more like setups.
Yeah.
So Tawnielle, how about your service?
So I've been in for 17 years now in the Air Force. I'm a aircraft weapons loader. I load up the missiles and the bombs on the planes, make sure they're locked and loaded, and that they release on target.
Wow.
5 different airframes. I started out on the F-15 in Okinawa, Japan. Then I moved on to the F-22, and then to the B-1 at Ellsworth for a while. Then I did a year in Korea and worked on the A-10. Then went back to Ellsworth on the B-1, and now I'm on the F-35 in Alaska. So
wow,
that's awesome, and thank you guys for your service. And Dan,
thank you.
Your story, I had no idea about that, and I'm proud to say that with the fishing crew, we team with an organization called Retrieving Freedom. And if you've never heard of this organization, check them out.
Will do.
They what they do is train and place service dogs with veterans and children with autism 100% free of charge. And I met Trent Dirks, who is their resource development director, and actually started as a client. And he got his service dog Tracer, met him in 21, and since January of 21, from our Delta waterfall events we do and our fishing tournaments and some other private deals, I can proudly say Pierce, South Dakota is clipping the $1 million mark for donation to that organization. So
awesome.
it's a great organization. It's free for veterans. So if you have anybody yourself or any family, friends, anybody can apply. You can apply for somebody else. And I strongly, strongly suggest anybody that needs help. It's military people are tough, right? You guys are trained not to ask for help and do the job, but there's times we all need help. And this organization is out there to help people. And that is, I mean, it hits my heart when you say that. You tell your story, and I appreciate from the bottom of my heart you opening up and telling us that story, because that like I said, I had no idea until just now that you that you went through that. You said, Air Force, and everybody thinks that you guys are just bulletproof, but at the end of the day, sometimes you're not. And if you can ask for help, that's the best thing you can do. And nobody's going to look down on you for asking for help. I think that's a big misnomer. So
yeah, it's tough. It is tough. I remember being there in that dark place, and I thought it was me. And I thought I was the problem. And what I, by getting help, was able to see was that it wasn't me. It was underlying issues from what John, my supervisor, had done. And I didn't break overnight. And so, it was a tough road as far as getting help, but it took time. And, you can't sometimes fix yourself overnight, but it's worth getting the help. And I mean, like I said, being here today and knowing that in a sense I reclaimed my life because of the help that I received, and I just can't emphasize it enough. And that's part of the reason why I share my story, is to encourage others to seek help. They're not alone.
yeah,
I thought we were going to get a cool story. I didn't realize that we truly had a blessing tonight. I'm not one of those wacky Christians, but there's things that you feel, right? And I just have this feeling, and tonight's going to go down as one of our favorite episodes for me, for the story and the blessing that comes together from the entire beginning to the end. And I don't think that we as a group are done yet. That's the exciting thing. We made new friends tonight, and it's awesome.
Are you guys there?
Are they pulling a me?
They might have froze up on us.
It's possible. I went and threw all of that sad stuff in there, but it's true though, Kurt. Think about that. Don't you feel like tonight was a true blessing?
Oh, 100%. Like we like said, we met some, and Dan has been so thankful and so grateful through this whole experience, sending us, all a text thanking us for.
Kind of glitched on us.
Oh, that's fine.
That's all right. We got you back.
We went audible there. So, like I said, we truly feel like we made some friends tonight, and this has been a great episode, but it's not even over yet, because we haven't even got into the fact that you didn't only win the Pike Masters and you took $5,500 out of South Dakota. You also won the Riverside Flooring Lucky Lady, because you had a lady on your team for $600 more. So if you're doing the math, $6,100, you guys get to, go home with. And the thing is I do a lot of these tournaments. The money doesn't last forever, but them trophies and the memories you guys made on them shorelines will last forever. And that is so incredible. And it's going to be super cool to see the trophy in North Pole, Alaska. And I can't wait to talk to you guys at a later time and hear your friends coming over to your house going, "What is this?" Like it's going to be a conversation piece in your house when people see these trophies hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I saw some ice fishing videos when I was doing some research on you guys. And do you guys pike fish up in Alaska as well, or where were those pike ice fishing videos from?
Yeah, and so we some of the, trying to think of which ones you might have saw.
The spearfishing ones.
Oh, like spearfishing.
No, you're fishing them through a hole, and you had your little boy over there. And
that was when we were up at Lake Louise. We have our annual ice fishing trip for New Year's, and we were going for the lake trout up, and they're known for their lake trout up there, up at Lake Louise. They got some pretty nice ones up there. And
I'm guessing not Lake Louise by Miller, South Dakota. So
yeah, no, this one's up near Glen Allen, Alaska. But our son, he on New Year's Day, we were watching the
Michigan game.
The Michigan game on our phone in the shanty, and our little man, his pulse started going like crazy, and he got a really nice burbot.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and then he got a youth angler for Alaska.
Oh.
So his nice burbot, and then pretty much after he caught that, he reeled it in, and then he took a nap on the cot.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. So
you guys, you live in Alaska, which I mean, truly outdoors paradise, right? I mean, truly an outdoors paradise, and you're raising a family in the outdoors.
Yeah.
And you come for vacation to fish pike in South Dakota.
Yes.
It sounds just like my family. Like we take vacations to fishing tournaments. We drove to Tulsa, Oklahoma to go to the Bassmaster Classic. We take a winter fishing trip to Devil's Lake every year. Like that's our family stuff, is we go do those things. So it's super cool to hear that you guys are doing this in Alaska and ice fishing and all that stuff. What else do you do in Alaska in the outdoors?
We hunt, fish, camp, just every chance we get. Tawny was deployed last summer, and so it was little man and I, and somehow he kept me alive, for 6 months.
He's a better cook than you're saying at 5.
They had a nice, fun gold panning adventure deep in Alaska. Between caribou hunting and halibut fishing that we're going to be going again over
the 4th of July
weekend. 4th of July again. So, but yeah, we got caribou hunting planned. We both drew moose tags this year, so we're pretty stoked about that.
Can't wait to see some pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And Nate, thank you very much, because I swear you guys said you were catching lake trout on Lake of the Weeds. Like, Lake of the Weeds, is that like a play on Lake of the Woods, but an Alaska thing? Or
yeah, Lake Louise, and you can and I recommend anybody that wants to go up there, there's a lodge right on the lake, and you can rent
they got rooms in the lodge, and then they have cabins right outside that you can rent. It's pretty cheap too.
There's some guides up there too, chasing tails, and just there's good people up
there. That's the name of the guide, Chasing Tails.
Okay, because I was going to say like Jason Walter type of thing. Zach, how you doing?
So if you go up there ice fishing, what do you like? Burbot and trout is mainly what's in the lake, or what else is in that?
Yeah, that's pretty much it for Lake Louise. Some of the lakes they try to keep the pike away and keep them because pike in Alaska are invasive. You go down by Wasilla, Anchorage area, and it's literally you catch one, you throw it on the bank or take it home and clean it. You don't turn them back.
Yeah.
But it's amazing where we're different places and how people treat the fish. Like the Columbia River in Washington, they hate walleye. They eat their salmon eggs and they hate them out there. So there's a select group. It's getting better that there's more walleye fishermen out there. But my dad went there 25 years ago, and they're catching 10-pound walleyes and throwing them on the shore because they were eating their salmon eggs, and and it's crazy. And we worship the walleye here, and obviously there's
make us sick knowing that they're doing that.
Yeah. And there's a small group of us, it's not a small group, but it's a pretty good sized group of true pike fishermen that love chasing these big pike in the spring. And if you've never done it, it's like I said last week, it's one of the cheapest things you'll ever do. A couple $100 in equipment, and you just drive to a boat ramp and sit out and grill and sit with your friends and have a couple cocktails, and you can catch these giant pike. And then it gets expensive when they go to the taxidermist, because I don't know what Rust is right now. What, $18 an inch? It's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
It is.
But I will tell you, he's one of the best at painting a pike. So I've got one of his pike on my wall.
Yeah, he's got one on his wall from 2007.
Yeah.
So that's why we went back to him.
Yeah. So you make the trip down, you guys win the tournament, and hopefully, obviously, military schedules and living in Alaska, and maybe not even in Alaska. I guess I don't know how long you're stationed there, but hopefully next year, maybe a couple years down the road.
Yeah, so we got 2 more years in Alaska, and then I'll be close to retirement, and South Dakota is home. Like when we first got back onto South Dakota a few weeks ago, we both just kind of looked at each other and were like, this is home. So we're coming back.
So you said Corsica, right? Corsica?
Yeah.
Oh, so do they still do the big horse sales there?
I don't know.
Do they still do the big horse sales there?
Yep, there's still a horse sale here.
Okay.
So
used to go to those in the 90s quite frequently. They were a big deal for a lot of us. So that's cool. They're keeping that up.
So do we have a destination picked in South Dakota if you guys are moving back? Like you going to Corsica, or you coming to the river, or Black Hills, or where?
We're leaving back and forth between going river or west. So it just kind of depends on where God plays us.
Yeah.
So
well, and
there you go.
Coming from Alaska, you got your adventurous. So Pierre's great for fishing and hunting, but it doesn't have the adventures of the Black Hills, and so I mean both are special places in South Dakota, and you guys are great folks. We'd love to have you here in South Dakota, and I don't come back next year. Let me try to win one, and then Dan, when we get off, tell me all your secrets on how to do this, since you're possibly not going to be here next year.
Yeah, and if you need advice, Brig, just give me a call. I mean,
there you go.
You'll burn more brain phone.
Yeah, burn more brain cells. Like what's the water rippling like? What color is it?
Right. Which way is the wind blowing?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that played into the decision, and if you don't mind, I'll touch on it a little bit.
Yeah.
But and there's been years past where we fished back in Spring Creek, Cow Creek, behind the drag strip right there, and Cow Creek the one year was on fire. I'm talking top water lures on fire. I was running spoons top water and just dancing them across the top, and you could see the pike coming. And if you've never experienced a 30 plus, almost 40-inch pike, and we got a couple that were over 40, come completely out of the water like a huge bass after a lure, it's something you've got to experience in your lifetime. But and like I said earlier, every year seems to be a little bit different, whether it's a color of the lure, or smell, and using a bobber or putting them on the bottom or floating them off the bottom. Every year seems to be just a little bit different. And this year we casted. I mean, we wasted our time bringing lures with us, and I bought some more while I was in Pierre. I mean, that's kind of my thing to do, but
yeah, that's all our things to do
anywhere.
But we did cast until our arms and shoulders were burning and nothing. And and then once we finally got on the pike, we still casting, but nothing was hitting lures. And so then I took and started messing around, bobbers and floating them off the bottom. And the one thing, probably 95% of the time, was they this year wanted them on the bottom and coming in, and they wanted the smelt with their tail on, and but they wanted it, even the hooks. At first they'd hit it and drop it, and so I adjusted how I was putting my hook in the smelt and pointing the barb or the tip of the hook back toward the tail, and it made a difference. They'd pick it up and run with it. And those big northerns this year are fighting hard, really hard, but that was the thing they wanted, was on the bottom. And and once we kind of figured that out, then we just every day started hooking up and multiple fish a day.
Wow. So any hot dogs? Did you try hot dogs?
there's a guy that fishes or used to fish on Stockade that's all he would use out in the, by Custer. That's all he used was hot dogs. And it's one thing I've never actually tried to use for pike. Usually I can find something else to use. I'll eat the hot dog. And
and that's crazy. Like you say, pointing the hooks change your bite. One year I fished with a guy and we had to take the weights off. If any weight was on that, they would drop it. So we had no weights on our line, just letting the smelt float to the bottom. And we caught more fish with no weight on line than we ever did with the weights on the line. It was
believe that.
So I always rig stuff up with weight and without weight just for that reason.
Yeah. Another thing that we noticed was all the shad, all the bait fish that were in that cove, and it was a southeast wind coming out of the southeast, and so it was pushing everything in there, and Tawny kind of dubbed it her lucky charm, but we had a visitor every day, and when that thing was there, I'll let her tell you about it, but
so I knew that we were going to get fish that day when there was a loon in the cove. So
hey, I passed the loon and didn't catch any fish.
It wasn't your loon.
Fish when the loon was in the cove. So I was like, the loon's not here today. We're not catching fish.
that loon would come be 10 feet away from us and just swim up, check us out.
Yeah, swam right up, almost up to our poles, and he was our friend for a week. So,
well, I'm gonna be looking for loons now. It's like every time I went deep sea fishing, they're like, watch for birds. If you see birds, there's bait, and we're going there. And so now it's a loon for pike on Lake Oahe.
But I will say, because we had the southeast wind, but as soon as the wind changed and it started heading towards the north, like the bait fish were gone. Yeah. We weren't getting bites anymore. It was just the way things worked.
Yeah, and we had caught leading up to the tournament. I don't know if anybody else was paying attention to it, but it was consecutive days where it was coming out of the southeast, and then on Wednesday or Thursday, it switched and came out of the north and stayed that way until the tournament. And then kind of switched and came out of the northwest for the tournament, which I'm a firm believer. I mean, wind out of the east, fish hit east, and wind out of the west. I mean, so but they were there, and we knew they were there. They were hungry, and so that's why we still fished it. And I mean, as you all know, I mean, it worked out, but.
Yeah, you caught what, 5 pike for 51 pounds, or was it 4?
We had 4. Yeah, 4 and lost a couple actually that day.
Well, we saw I got the video on my Facebook page. If anybody's interested, the guy in the water.
Yeah, he lost one early in the morning. So yeah. But
what an adventure!
What an adventure! What a story! Wow. You guys, it's been
when Nate came down, he's standing there chatting with us. We're talking. And then I told him, I said, well, we got 4. And he's like, 4? And I'm like, yeah, we got 4 pike. I said, we got 2 right here and 2 right over there. And he's like, you're kidding me right now. No. And he's like, you guys need to be ecstatic. Like, he got all excited. I mean, literally like dancing out there. I'm like, what the heck, And he's like, you don't realize you guys are sitting good right now. You could win. No way. And he said that he had checked all the teams and nobody had fish, and so then we're kind of like, oh,
I guess we'll see what the boaters have.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So then when we got there for weigh-in, and Nate actually had a huge thank you to Nate. He had a sled in the back of his truck and let us borrow the sled so we could throw the pike in that and carry them in. And
I felt like we were big Alaska yahoos coming through with ice shed through the tournament.
I love it.
I was like,
I love it.
But we took and we pull up there and pull the sled out, and we're walking past a boat that's pulling fish out of their live well, and the guy leaned over and looked, and he's like, well, we should get second.
So have you guys fished many tournaments before, or was this kind of one of your first ones? Or
this The very first.
Yeah.
No kidding.
And so what was that like when you weighed in? And I got there later in the day. So did you guys weigh in kind of early, or were you,
Right at the
Oh,
tail end,
yeah.
about 4:45, and we walked through the door, and we got the sled and these lunkers in there, and we the crowd. It was kind of like the crowd just separated, but all the eyes turned and looked at us, and I remember just like.
My nerves were shot. I was shaking. I was nervous. I was
yeah.
like, everybody's looking. I'm trying to figure out how to get through front with this big sled.
And had no clue, had kind of no clue where we were going. And so we work our way to the front, and I remember getting up there on the stage and pulling the fish out. And at one point I went to take a drink, and I looked up, and there's everybody. And I'm never been somebody to get on the stage, and so I got up there and I go to take a drink, and I look, and I couldn't even take a drink. I'm like, this is real. And so then, we get the total weight, and we got a new winner, and I had to go outside. I went outside. We all walked outside and took some pictures, and kind of came in at the last minute and looked at the board, and I was in total disbelief, and still am a little bit. It's kind of like a dream, I guess, but it was surreal. But
very
like
surreal.
we said before, it was humbling at the same time because of the group of people that you guys have welcomed in.
Yeah, we felt very, very welcomed coming into this tournament. So
well, and that's like I told you, Dan, the other day, is like, that's the best thing about this is we're all buddies. We've made some new buddies with your guys' team. We're all friends. Friday night, Saturday morning, we're all friends before that buzzer goes off. And then we all want to punch each other in the face to beat the person to a spot or catch more fish. And then when it's all said and done, we're like, well, they punched us harder and beat us. So, and then we're back to being buddies. So that's one of the things about tournament fishing in general is you see these groups of guys that are just friends. And, the Pike Masters is its own thing. With that is it's a whole different group of people. And I run like the South Dakota Governor's Cup, and we kind of call it like the family reunion because people come. They don't see each other all year till they get there, and then they're all buddies Friday night and Saturday night, not during the days, but then it's a big group of families and not even necessarily like related families, just fishing families all get together for these events. And it's one of the main reasons I do it. I always tell people I love making people's memories happen, making their memories, making that moment in their life, that special moment happen. And that's why we put them on. And we appreciate you guys, your service for, defending our freedoms to come and do these things. And we can't thank you enough for fishing the tournament and coming on tonight with us. From the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate.
Yeah, blessing. Unbelievable.
Yeah, thank you for your support too. It means a lot to, I know, all of our service members. So,
and we will have to get you back on when you guys go moose hunting and tell the moose hunting stories. And is there a side bet on who's paying for the mount on the mooses, or like who shoots the bigger one? Because I'm putting my money on Tawny.
I might have to too.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you guys for coming on. We will stay in touch, and maybe you'll see us in Alaska before you guys bug out of there, and we'll come after some animals up there.
Yeah, our door is always open. You're more than welcome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I know I'm not saying goodbye. I'll say see you later because I feel like we're going to meet again, and I'm excited to meet you in person someday.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
us too.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Thanks for the blessing and the story tonight. Unbelievable. Truly magic. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
All
for
right.
this.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, Kurt, you know what? That was just absolutely terrific.
What a story, man. What a story. So
truly blessed. Well, all right. We'll see you this weekend.
See you this weekend.
The big one coming up this weekend. Do you want to say anything quick about the showdown?
Yeah, Sharp Showdown this weekend. Pay attention for all the updates throughout the weekend. Chasen will be out here doing commentary. We'll be doing some live stuff, trying to get everything ready to go for the second annual Sharp Showdown by the Pierre Chamber of Commerce. Cannot wait for this event. We're pretty excited. We got some things planned, weighing in on the big stage. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yep, that's going to be a good time. All right, have a wonderful evening, and y'all take care until next Wednesday, or maybe we'll see you this weekend in Pierre. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh, yeah,